Welcome to My Life, My Money, financial education presented by STCU. Today's topic, how to prevent fraud and identity theft. So let's look at some of the things we'd like to cover today. First off, who are the targets? Who are they looking for? What do they want? And why is it important? When and where you might be at risk? Examples of some common scams, how to protect yourself, and then when and how to report fraud if something does happen. So right off the bat, who are the targets? Well, you may think you're exempt, but I like to say that if you're breathing, you're a target. If you look at this number, from 2019 till June of 2020, 16 billion records, including credit card numbers, home addresses, phone numbers, and other highly sensitive information was exposed through data breaches. Oh my goodness. And of those victims, 31% went on to have their identity stolen. So we are all at risk, but children and seniors are uniquely vulnerable. Children, because few parents actually check their children's credit reports thinking there's no activity on it, and discover when that child turns 18 and is applying for scholarships or car loans that their credit report is full of fraudulent activity. Seniors, same story. They're not checking their credit reports often enough, and there can be all kinds of activity on them that is fraudulent. Okay, now we know we're all targets. We need to learn what they want from us. What are they looking for? Well, first and foremost, your Social Security number. That is the key to the kingdom. If they have that, they can do all kinds of damage. Apart from that, they'd love to have your full name, address, email, telephone number, birth dates. They're not going to send you a birthday card. Passwords, PIN numbers, online banking credentials, credit card numbers and card expiration dates would be fun to have. Tax records, security questions, email accounts, old copies of credit reports or financial statements, medical records, and, well, if nothing else, just give me your computer sign-on information. Now that we know what they want, we need to understand how they're getting that information. Well, they're getting it through data breaches of companies you deal with, doctor's office, accountants, could be a retail store. They're mining your personal information that you provide freely on social media sites. They're capturing your information from ATM debit or credit cards through skimmers. They might be diverting your mail. They're sending you emails with phishing content or texting you with smishing content. Or it's just good old-fashioned robocalls. Fraudsters are increasingly sophisticated in how they trick us to provide our personal information to them. But in the end, it's what they do with it that's really damaging. They want to steal your identity in order to file fraudulent tax returns, sell or use your health insurance or Medicare ID to obtain services, and potentially deplete the lifetime benefit balance. They want to establish cell phone service in your name so you can pay their bill. Purchase big ticket items, or just use your name and information to apply for loans, open accounts, apply for credit cards, and generally drain your bank account. On the other hand, they also want to sell it on the dark web. In 2015, BitGlass, which is a global cloud security firm, put together a list of 1,568 names, fake social security numbers with credit card numbers, addresses, phone numbers, professions, and put it in an Excel spreadsheet and posted it on the dark web. The result of that was that in less than 2 weeks, that file had traveled to 22 countries on 5 continents and was accessed more than 1,100 times. Just imagine if that was your name, social security number, home address, etc., on that list. 22 countries and 5 continents in less than 2 weeks. Okay, well, now that we know we've got a problem, let's talk about some of the common ways, the common scams that are out there that they're using to trick us. And the first one we need to talk about is phishing. Phishing is when a scammer uses email to trick you into giving them your personal information. They'll send you an email and maybe say there's been suspicious activity on your accounts, bank account, IRS, Medicare, or maybe it's the possibility you won a contest, or you need to pay an invoice, which later turns out to be a fake invoice. Maybe it's offering help with stimulus money disbursement or help with child tax credits, bogus coupons for free stuff, or tech support issues. Any number of things they will put in these emails and want you to click on a link. And that's the key thing, clicking on a link, which will take you to a fraudulent website disguised as a valid e-commerce or banking site or government site. They are making these look very real. The key is don't click on the link. Government agencies will never send you emails asking you to click on links. So let's look at an example of a phishing email. This one is from Facebook Technical Support. Yikes, hope there's not a problem with my Facebook account. Well, the rule of thumb is always to put your cursor over the link and the address should pop up. So as you look at Facebook Technical Support, you can see that doesn't look like a Facebook email account. And another thing, they're not saying who this is to, it's just you. And you could be millions of you. Nor are they saying who it's actually from, it's just saying Facebook Technical Support, no name or other contact details. But the real thing here is when you go to Facebook, this link, go to Facebook, that should take you to Facebook. If you let your cursor hover over that, you'll see that's not taking you to Facebook. That's taking you somewhere brand new that you don't want to be. So the bottom line in this is don't click on links if you are even remotely suspicious. Most legitimate businesses will never ask you to click on a link. A fraudulent request is more likely to occur in an unsolicited email. So if phishing emails are so sophisticated, how in the world are we supposed to protect ourselves? Well, rule number 1, do not click on links or attachments in emails. Whew, that's worth saying again. Do not click on links or attachments in emails, and never give out passwords, usernames, or other sensitive information, including your online bank credentials. And when in doubt, verify the request. Call back through the website or contact the person sending the email. Walk down the hall, do something, pick up the phone, verify the request, and don't permit access if there's any doubt about the validity of the request. The real key here is stop and think first. Creating urgency and fear is key for the thieves. This is how they trick you into giving up your personal information. They create urgency and fear, and it's better to slow down and check things out before you start giving away information. Okay, so that's phishing. What about other scams? Well, let's talk about a couple of them. You see the list here. Employment scams. You had a remarkably short interview process. You haven't met them face to face, but they want to hire you. The only thing they need from you is your banking information so they can set you up on direct deposit. Or you need to prepay for training materials that they need to send you, which you'll probably never receive. What about rental scams, roommate scams? Rentals are in such short supply that many times people are reacting quickly, sight unseen, sending deposits to an address that doesn't exist. And that deposit vanishes. And they do this hundreds of times in a day. There's family scams, charity scams, lottery and sweepstakes scams, overpayment scams. That's when you're selling something, they send too much money and ask you to send some back. Well, the check they sent you was bogus anyway, and you just sent them money from your account. So not only are you covering that money, but you're covering the bogus check as well. All kinds of things that they can do to you. Another area we need to touch on is robocalls. A robocall is a call that uses a computerized auto dialer to deliver a pre-recorded message. Now, 60% of these calls, and there's a bunch of them, are illegal telemarketing calls or scam calls. And of those scam calls, a whopping 90% of them are scam artists from all over the world, making it nearly impossible to track them down and prosecute them. And they use a technology that makes it even more difficult for us called spoofing. And what spoofing is, it allows them to falsify the information transmitted to your caller ID, making it seem like the call's coming from a local number or a trusted company or a government entity. In fact, we had a series of these just in the last few months where people received calls from what the caller ID indicated was the Social Security Administration. They were calling to let them know there had been fraudulent activity associated with their Social Security number, and they needed to call back and verify their Social Security number or their payments would be stopped. Well, of course, many of these people did call back and give up their Social Security number, creating an even bigger problem. So what can we do about the robocalls? I mean, there's so many. Well, some basic things are don't answer calls from numbers you don't recognize. I realize that is sometimes difficult, but if you get one on the phone, don't answer any questions and hang up immediately. Don't press numbers if you are directed to. You can try blocking the number. You can register your number on the do not call list, but you need to know that only limits legal robocalls. And legal robocalls are things like the dentist calling to let you know about your dentist appointment or the school calling to let you know it's a snow day. Now, if you get caught up in the web of a robocall and you believe it, you give out information on the phone, and then afterwards you hang up and you kind of feel like that felt funny, I really encourage you to get a family member involved. Get someone trusted involved right away so you can tell them the story, see how they react, and see what the next steps should be. But the key here is if you answer one robocall, you increase the likelihood of receiving even more calls because it is a ding that it's a live number, there was a person on the other end, and that becomes part of a list that goes on and on and on. So key is don't answer the calls if you can avoid it. Another way scam artists are helping themselves to your money is through the use of skimmers. And a skimmer is just a piece of technology, it's a piece of hardware that con artists will take and slide over a card reader on an ATM or a point of sale device. This is quite common at gas stations, and it allows them to wirelessly read your card number and have it sent to their device. Now, the way you can avoid these is by checking before you put your card into a card reader, check to make sure it's not loose or if it looks like there's extra pieces that have been added to it. If you just give it a little shake, usually you can tell, and then you can know to avoid it or to go ahead and use it. With so many creative ways scam artists have separating us from our personal information and our money, what kind of things can we do that will protect us and make it more difficult for them? Let's talk about behaviors that may put you at risk. I can't say it enough. Clicking on links is never a good idea, or pop-ups. Both of them can be dangerous. Not having security protection on your computer or having it up to date. Applying for scholarships, financial aid, using public networks to do personal information. Coffee shops, McDonald's, any of those. Opening unfamiliar or unsolicited emails. How about this one? Using the same password for multiple sites. They call it credential stuffing. This is when they take your password and put it through a computer and see how many other places you've used that password. Using a password that is too simple. I love you, 123, QWERTY, this is my password. All of those are really bad ideas. Carrying your Social Security card on your person, never a good idea. It belongs in a very secure place in your home, not on your person. Leaving your wallet or purse in an unsecured place, leaving it in the cart as you walk down to the other end of the aisle, not a good idea. And using social media, and this is a blanket statement, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Pinterest, they are not there to be your friend. They are data collection companies and they are selling your data. So everything you put out there, they're selling to someone else. And what about social media? Do not list. Do not include personal information, address, birth date, phone number, family members in your public profile. Do not take social media quizzes, surveys, or play games. Do not accept friend requests from people you do not know. Do not post information about upcoming trips. And do not download apps unless you can verify they are safe. And do not, unless you want the information on your Facebook page for 2 months, click on advertisements. So, what are some security behaviors that we should really incorporate into our lives? Well, the first one's pretty obvious. It's use strong passwords, and we'll talk more about that in a second. Next, activate two-part authentication anytime it's offered. Never give out your social security number. Review your credit report annually or quarterly for suspicious activity. Check your bills. Don't assume the company made a mistake. Download critical updates for your computer and security software. Use credit cards, not debit cards, when shopping online. Be aware of current scams and ask your bank to review suspicious-looking checks before cashing or depositing. Okay, we talked about creating a strong password, but how in the world are you supposed to remember all those passwords? Well, we have a little trick. We recommend not using individual words, but using phrases, and use a phrase that is easy for you to remember, but hard to guess. I use a phrase about a situation in my life that I remember every time. No one else knows about it. It'd be almost impossible to guess it. But I've substituted words for numbers and numbers for letters. I've added extra characters to it. And then that is the base that I use for every place that I use a password. I then add initials at the end that let me know what account it's actually for. So you can see the example we have here. I love to ski. When we've changed numbers for letters and letters for numbers, and then added STCU at the end. And you can add more even, but you know the phrase, and then you can add to the end for each site. What do you do if you did everything right? You had wonderful passwords, you had two-part authentication, and you still got hacked. What do you need to do right away? Well, first things first, you need to change your online credentials, your usernames, passwords, PIN numbers for all of your accounts. Then you need to contact your financial institution and let them know. Create a police report, you may need that later, and contact your creditors. You will also want to report your ID theft to the Federal Trade Commission. An outstanding website is www.idtheft.gov. It's an excellent resource. It's a step-by-step guide of what you need to do to recover from ID theft and other types of fraud. Highly recommend it. Another consideration in terms of security you might want to consider is how you deal with credit bureaus. And there's two ways of doing this. You can put what's known as a credit fraud alert on your account. This lasts for 90 days. It can be renewed afterwards. There's no cost associated. And what it does, it allows creditors to get a copy of your credit report as long as they verify your identity. That's a real important consideration. They need to verify your identity. Now, to place a credit fraud alert, all you need to do is contact one of the credit bureaus. They'll contact the other two. It's very easy. If you want to lock things down a little more than that, you might want to opt for a credit freeze. And that's exactly what it says it is. It freezes your credit. No one gets access to it. Now, in order to place a credit freeze on your account, you have to contact each of the 3 credit bureaus individually. They in turn will give you a PIN number that will be how you unlock your account when you need to unlock it. And why would you want to unlock your account? Well, if you're applying for any kind of a loan, car loan, house mortgage, maybe you are interviewing for a new job. Anytime somebody might access your credit report, they will be denied when you have a credit freeze on it. So if you are moving and need to apply for new utilities, if you're looking to buy a new car, you will need to go in and unfreeze your accounts. That means you've got to have those PIN numbers with you. So put them in a secure place. And this is for as long as you want to keep the freeze on, so it's good for a long time. We've come to the end of our material for fraud and identity theft. I hope the information has been useful. I encourage you to go out to stcu.org/learn and see what other tools and information we have available. Thank you.